Good evening, everyone. Am I visible and audible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Good
Yes,
evening.
ma'am.
Yeah, good evening. Good
Yes,
evening,
ma'am.
everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
Okay, so we are here. Welcome to the soft skills training from Henry Havin Education. We are here to learn negotiation skills today, right? So we will talk about the negotiation skills, what is negotiation, what it takes to get to a win-win situation in negotiation, and what are the factors that uh, affect the negotiation. But before we start, I would request all of you to please make use of the chat box, write an introduction about yourself within 2 to 3 lines, and tell me what you want to learn about negotiation today so that I can take up your questions as well. Last 15 minutes will be taken for question. So kindly be patient until we, finish the course because we have only 1 hour. All right. So get to the chat boxes, everyone, and let's just understand or get to know each other. Okay, a few of the students were already my students in some of the courses, so I can see them. So yes, please get to the chat boxes, everyone. And I would recommend if you can switch on your video so that it feels like a classroom and I'm not talking to a black screen, right? Otherwise, it feels like I'm talking to a ghost. So please, everyone, get to the chat box and write something about yourself. What do you do and what do you want to learn in negotiation skills today? Okay, write everything in one go, Ranveer. So yes. All right, so we are having a few more participants who are coming in. I am management trainee at NCDEX. Okay, all right, move on, go on. So meanwhile, I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Vandana. I'll be your trainer for this negotiation skills class. So by discipline, I am an HR professional, soft skills trainer, and a content writer. I have been working in the corporate world for past 22 years. For last decade, for a decade, I have been delivering training for negotiation skills, and other soft skills, which is like writing skills, communication skills, and other soft skills as well. So my content is also widely published on internet. With Henry Havin, I've been working for 1.5 years and delivering training for writing skills and soft skills, right? So let's just understand. So everybody, please get to the chat box. So if you want to know more about me, you can Google my name, Vandana Saxena, writer or trainer or whatever. You will find me on Google easily. So I'm a businesswoman. I am a management trainee at NCDEX. Am I audible to all of you? I don't see many messages in the chat box, please. I am Deepthi. Okay, a student from Henry Havin Instructional Design, looking forward to learn and understand more about this topic. All right, Deepthi will help you. Anything specific, if you wish to learn, you can mention that as well. Okay, if you have any issues on negotiation, that we can always take up some case studies from the audience as well, right? So yes, go on, make use of the chat box, please, everyone. Okay, not many people are making use of the chat box, so I hope I am audible to everyone clearly, so that you can write your introduction in the chat box. Everyone is typing, say yes or no.
You're typing, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm allowing you then some time. I am Paras, second year undergraduate. Yes, Paras, what do you want to learn today? Especially with the senior team members, where making them understand is difficult. All right. Okay. This is Laya. Okay. Let me just read your. I work within EduTech and I am looking forward to learning more about how to be more effective in negotiation, especially while at work. Okay. So, what should be the flow of communication while negotiating? Okay. We will cover that. All right. Let me just read a few more. Write something about you as well. That what you do and you know. What you have been doing so far. If you have already worked for a few years, you can let me know. I'm a BCom graduate, worked with Ernst & Young Private Limited and a businesswoman too. I want to know more about this because I can't say no to anyone. That is my biggest problem. Okay, I think that's with most women. We are not taught to how to say no and stay firm on it. So that is where the problem is. That's with most women, I think. I'm Padmini, working as quality analyst in Melon Groups, Hyderabad. I just want to know more about this topic. I am quality analyst, looking forward to learn more on this. All right. Fine. Javed, 18 years experience working as manager sales and services. So Javed, we will have a lot to hear from you, your experiences and everything. All right. So move on. Yes, let's just see what other people are writing. I'm Mariam, your ex-student. Thank you, Mariam, for being here. Currently a full-time homemaker and a freelance writer. Good topic to be listened to. All right. Fine. So I'll take another a few more minutes, maybe 2-3 more minutes to take up the introduction, and then we will start. Okay. All right. So my name is Tanya, did content writing from Henry Harvin, your ex-student. Okay, currently my exams ended this month and I'm graduate now. I would like to know more about persuasion, how this could help in sales, learning, development specialist, freelance past years. Okay, currently worked over 10 years, same problem, difficult to say no and difficult to negotiate salary since I'm already less paid and as per Indian standards. Okay, all right. So that is where, so salary negotiations, I guess this is something everybody struggles with. So we will discuss about salary negotiations, that what you should do when it comes to salary negotiations, right? So, and what you should not do while salary negotiations. So everybody, there are that when it comes to negotiations, we start with 30% and then we come to, we agree to somewhere around 15 or 12. That is not a good idea. We should never do this. Why? How you can remain firm is something that you have to learn today, right? Working as application and technical sales engineer. Okay. Working as application and technical sales engineer. All right. How do we, Glenn here, working for MNC, how do we negotiate with management with regards to our career growth aspects, especially when you talk to top head management? This includes talks with HR, negotiate. Okay, HR also, right? So I come from the HR background, so I will tell you what happens on the other side of the table, right? So not many people will be able to tell you that what happens with the other side, what HR actually sees when it comes to negotiations. So we will learn all of that. Okay, right. So any more introductions, or we'll start in another 1 minute? 1 minute to go. Get to the chat boxes, everyone. Okay. All right. So I think no one else is writing. Anybody else who's yet writing? Fine. So I'll start to share the screen. So according to you, what is negotiation? What do you feel is negotiation?
If we're able to convince other people, means.
Okay. So,
come to a conclusion.
Okay, so now the problem is that I'm not able to share the screen for some reasons. I think I claimed the host also, but then let me just, if somebody is there from Henry Harvin, I would request you to please make me the host. Right.
Allow me 1 minute. I'll make you the host.
Yeah. So I'm not able to share the screen. Yes, please, if you can. I'll start to share the screen. Okay, let's continue with our discussions. What do you feel is, what do you think is negotiation, according to you? What is negotiation?
Actually, ma'am, negotiation is a dialogue between two or more people to reach on, the common goal and to settle the differences. To settle the differences, that is fine, but then that is a definition which is picked up from Google, and that is theoretical. I'm talking about the practical life. What is negotiation? How? Like negotiation is to discuss where the two people discuss each other and to reach with some beneficial outcome. Negotiation is more about persuasion. But can I try? You have to convince the other person to agree to you. Is it or not? So let's not talk about or discuss about the Google definitions. Should I try? Yeah. So that what we are not talking. Those who have understood or those who have studied management, they must be knowing that there is a typical negotiation definition for negotiation.
but that's not applicable in the real world. Let's get realistic and let's talk about the real world. So definitions that you learned in management, or that I also learned management, right? I also did management. I'm an MBA in HR. So the first lesson in MBA is management, right? So, but most of the definitions that you see there, they are not applicable in the real world. So let's just get realistic. So persuasion, negotiation is all about persuasion. You have to persuade the other person to agree to what you are saying. Yes or no? Tell me. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how does this happen? This is definite, this happens through a strategic discussion. You need a strategy to discuss. What will I say? When you go for the negotiation, you analyze your points in your mind, right? You analyze your points in your mind that, okay, this is what I have to say. And then but you never analyze what the other person has to say. And then what happens? You are prepared, well prepared with your points, but when you are not prepared with the other person's point, there comes a problem. Then you are not able to negotiate, right? And then reaching an agreement. So a persuasion through a strategic discussion and reaching an agreement, which is acceptable to both the parties, is called negotiation. So negotiation, the top skill which is required in negotiation is persuasion. You have to persuade the other person, right? So that's the first thing that you have to keep in mind. Now, coming on to when I talk about that, persuasion, what do you mean by persuasion at the first place? Do I have to push someone?
No.
Do I have to push someone? No. If I try to push somebody, I will lose the battle there. Then there is no point, me negotiating. Then they will, go to other people and then they say, no, I don't want to do this. So persuasion is the only thing. Here you do not have to push anyone. So first you should understand that what are the key factors that affect the negotiation. What are the key factors? Anybody can tell me? Get to the chat box, or you can speak up also. Let me just see. How we sell ourselves, how we communicate, that they buy our words. All right. So key factors is the parties involved. Who are the parties involved? What do they want? Right? Their interest, or what you call is requisite. So if you are supposedly negotiating your salary with an employer, who are the parties involved? Who are the two parties involved? An employer, right? An employer, your
employee,
and the employee, right? The prospective employee. So I'm talking about an interview. Supposedly you are negotiating your salary at the point of interview. Now, who are the two people who have to negotiate? The prospective employer and obviously the employee, prospective employee. Where does your current employer come in picture? That's also a party involved. Yes or no? Because you will take your offer letter and tell them that, okay, I'm resigning, I've got a better offer. Now you negotiate with them, right? Because you don't want to leave, but you were not happy there. That is why you wanted to leave, and that is why you tried to, look for other options. So what is the interest of the three parties now? The interest of your interest lies that you get the job security and you also get the money which is raised. Clear? Right? The interest of the prospective employer is that I have invested so much time on shortlisting a person. Now I shouldn't lose him. Right? Or this person can be an asset to my organization. The interest of the third, or what you call the third party or the hidden party. Between the two parties, there is always a hidden party, right? The interest of the third party or your current employer is that I invested 2 years in making this person plug and play in my organization. Now I can tell him to work in 2 different departments. If he leaves, I will have to hire 2 people to work in 2 different departments. That is his vested interest. So what is the key factor involved for negotiation? Understood the 3 interests. The parties, when there is a party involved, there are 2 direct parties usually. right? There are always two direct parties and one is a hidden party that you do not care about, but he is or she is, inadvertently a part of your discussion or a part of your negotiation. Because whatever your party, the third party is, what you want them to, the current employer is giving you a certain salary and you want them to increase it. If they don't increase it, you go to other people, right? Now the current employer feels that now this person wants to leave, I will have to do the entire exercise again, I will have to pay to the consultant. Unless you have not performed well, they don't want you to go, right? If you're performing well, if you're an asset to the organization, nobody wants you to go, right? Because they also investing time and effort to make you acclimatize to the work culture, to make you understand the business and to make you understand how they work. Every company, even if you're a salesperson and you're working in the same industry, every company has a different way to work. Yes or no? Right?
Yes.
So the parties involved, their interest in requisite, and then there are relationships. So you have worked with a company for, say, 10 years, and then you are leaving them, or you are looking, now you feel stagnant. So whenever you have already worked for 10 years and now you are feeling stagnant, and that is why you are leaving the company and want to go. Now your relationship, now if your employer says that, oh, why you are leaving, let me just give you, if they are giving you a 30% raise, I will give you a 20% raise and you stay with me. Will you respect the relationship or not? Obviously you will. Yes or no? Get to the chat boxes, or you can say
Yes, certainly.
Yes.
Yes.
The relationships definitely affect your negotiation skills. Even if you're saying, it's not only about the employer or the employee, it is about the, if you are talking about, maybe you are selling a car. Now there is a client who comes to you every 2 years. You have built a relationship. So you were working with Hyundai before, and then you moved on to Honda, and then you moved on to Skoda, and the person is loyal to you and he is buying a car from wherever you are working. He's not calling the showroom, he's calling you. Is that not a relationship? That is definitely now based on that relationship, he can ask more discount. So you will do whatever you can because he is also generating sales for you, right? So you will give him the best discounts as far as possible. Yes or no? So these are the factors that will affect your negotiation. The first is who are the parties involved. There will be a hidden party involved, right? And their interest or requisite. In case of car, it is you, the buyer, and definitely the showroom or the car dealer, right? He's the hidden party involved because you can't negotiate which causes loss to the car dealer. No, right? You cannot. So there is a hidden party always involved in the negotiation. So always think about that hidden party also, that who's the hidden party, their interest in requisite, relationships, and definitely communication. So if your communication is weak in negotiation, then your negotiation will never take place, right? So what will happen here? Communication, let me just tell you, what is communication at the first place? Get to the chat boxes. What is communication? I am speaking to you, you're listening to me. Is that communication? Yes or no? Okay, how
Getting the right information and the right like conveying the right message to the right person. Is that it? Is that how communication goes?
communication is what I intend to say. You should be able to understand it exactly the way I want to say. There should not be ambiguity in the idea. Communication is the ability to deliver the right idea or the concept. That is called communication, definitely. So most of the negotiation is dependent on communication. If your communication is wrong, you will lose the negotiation, right? So we will discuss this in detail, but communication is indeed important when it comes to negotiation. So communication is one factor, and then there are alternatives, right? Do I have options or not? Right? If I do not have options, I will, these are the key factors. If I do not have options in negotiation, I will not negotiate more with you. If you are the only manufacturer or only employer in a certain industry, I will not negotiate more with you because I know supposedly if I do not have any alternatives, supposedly if I have 3 offers in hand, right? Do I have more scope of negotiation, or do I have less? I have alternatives in hand. I definitely
More.
have more.
More.
The
More,
party
yeah.
who has more alternatives is a stronger party always.
Hmm.
Party who has the more alternatives in that case is actually a stronger party when it comes to negotiations. So when you have alternatives, you are the stronger party, but the other party has. So most of the time when you're trying to sell something, the alternatives, the other party is stronger party because they have the alternatives. Okay, you don't have. But when it comes to offers, if you have multiple offers in your hand, then you are the stronger party. These are the key factors in when it comes to communication. Clear? Now,
Yeah.
sorry, negotiation. So when it comes to negotiation, what is like let's just discuss one by one. What you should communication, like I said, that communication is the most important aspect of negotiation. So how to negotiate? Let's just understand how to negotiate. What are the key things that you should keep in mind? Get to the chat boxes according to you, how to negotiate. Get to the chat boxes, let's just say, or you can speak up also. Effective articulation of one's thought. Okay. What else? How to negotiate according to you, how you should negotiate. Effective. I told you communication is one way, but then what you should keep in mind while communicating.
I believe we should let them know why we are saying it, and with a proper example. We need to justify why we are negotiating with proper reasoning.
Oh, you need to justify. No.
I'm audible.
Okay.
Nobody will buy it then. They will
I'm
like,
out.
somebody has his or her own justification to something. And no, that's the wrong approach. If you're trying to justify, you are overdoing it. Okay, so you have to settle while justification. Yes, Ranveer.
Ma'am, like by negotiation, first of all, you have to create how much the pie is big. You have to create a big pie. So while negotiating, you can ask for the big chunk. For example, if you're negotiating with your employer and the employer asks, okay, this is the pay grade your falls in. First of all, you have to create the pie bigger. You have to come up with the reasoning that this is the work I have done, and in the same market, some person has did some task has been paid this much. For example, you have to create the pie bigger. Even your buyer seller negotiation.
How does it affect your negotiation? That is someone else's pie.
Pie, because if you are losing, like if I being in a job create a value of 100, and some company alone create a value of 100. So when you come together, the pie becomes 200. So by coming together, the extra 100 comes in. So you have to negotiate the what extra 100 came in, and you have to ask for the at least 50% of the extra 100 coming into the party. Buyer seller.
But then why would I do that? I mean, no, definitely not. Why would I do that? If you say that, okay, you are bringing in 100 and I should give you 50, then I would say I would buy somebody, or I would have somebody who is bringing in 70 and give him 20. I still have the 50. Why
Okay,
would I have?
let me correct. Like being alone, I'm adding a value of 100. Because somebody.
No, that's not the thing. You cannot be alone in any industry. There are people who are your competitors.
If you are working, because we chase value. Like I'm just saying my experience, we chase value. So when you come together, the pie you come with the extra value. Even you're smaller
that
player.
Is maybe for you, no. It
Yes,
may not be for your value may be for you, but it may not be. Value may not be the same for me. For you, it may be 100. For me, it may be 50 only. And I would not want to pay you the 50.
But there should be a substantial. You have justification for that.
Yeah, that is. I think justification comes later. So the first thing that when it comes to negotiation is ask the requisite, or what you call is understand the requisite. If you do not understand the requisite of the second party, you will never be able to, the pie value, the value what I am adding, that comes later. What do they want? I may have a value of 100, but they want to utilize only 20% of me. Why will I negotiate? There is no point wasting time, right? So you have to understand the requisite first. So you have to, don't be afraid and feel free to ask the questions that what is your requisite? What is the job profile you are looking at? I may come with 100% value, but for you, I may only value at 20% or 30%. Why would they give me 30%? They will not give me 30%, definitely. So if I am not able to add 100% value to your organization, they will not negotiate with me. So you need to understand the requisite first, fit into that requisite, and then talk about negotiation. If you do not understand the requisite of the second party, you do not fit into their requisite, you will never be able to, that is your notion, that what is your value. If your value in terms of your notion is for you, what is your value for the other party? That is important. So you need to understand the requisite of the next party first, or the other party first, analyze, and then analyze where you fit, you or your service fit. If it is not fitting in proper, then the negotiation will not happen. If they have 20 requisites and you are not, this is not possible that they have 20 requisites and you are fulfilling 21. If they have 20 requisites, it may be possible that you're fulfilling 18 or 19. So now there is a scope of 2% negotiation, right? Supposedly they have 20 requisites and you are fulfilling 18 or 19. Now there is a scope of 2% of negotiation. The one person you should negotiate, you should give discount, and the one person, they should give discount, right? And that is how you reach 18. Understand, right? So always when you are understanding the requisite or reading the mail for this, listen to your clients. What is listening? What is the rule of listening? What are the rules of listening? Anybody knows? There is something called a 5-second rule. There is something called a 5-second rule. You should pause for 5 minutes, or wait for not 5 minutes, wait for 5 seconds before the other person has stopped speaking. Right?
1, 2,
Sorry?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You should count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 after the other person has stopped speaking, and then only you should speak. Right? Do your homework, listen to your client, know about your client or employer beforehand. So instead of your, what you are to focus on. Now, most people understand that I should focus on my strengths during communication. Yes, you should. Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I should focus on my strengths during communication. Wrong approach, because you know them already.
No, like unless and until there is a team approach, we cannot negotiate. Isn't that how it works?
No.
Actually, we have to
No,
put
no,
ourselves
other
in
companies.
No. Let me
ourselves in
finish.
their other shoes, the client shoes. Then we have to know. First, we have to listen him. Then we have to put ourselves in their shoes. Then we
No.
understand, and then we say that.
That doesn't help. Trust me, that doesn't help if you put yourself into their shoes. So most people think in negotiation that, focus on my strengths. I should focus on my strengths, what I have to speak, which is absolutely wrong approach, because you know your strengths already. What you should do is focus on the other party's weaknesses. And this happens with, understanding the requisite. What is their weakness? If your client wants somebody with a qualification, a management person with a qualification of, say, digital content writing, that's their weakness, because you are serving two purposes. If you are the one who is a management graduate with a content writing skill, then you are his weakness. You have nailed his weakness, right? Similarly, if a person who wants a car only in blue color, that's his weakness, that he will not bend, he will bend for a blue color car only. I want royal blue car only. And you say, like, this has happened with me. I wanted a car which was blue in color, and the dealer said that no, on blue car you don't get a discount, right? So, and the brown, and that the brown car you will get a discount. So what they did, they understood my weakness, that so you have to focus on the other party's weakness, and not really your strength. You know your strength very well, so you have to focus on the other party's weakness, right? Never give away. Now there is a way to negotiate. So never leave the ball in the other party's court. So let me just other party's court. How? Okay, let me just tell you one sentence. Okay, you gave me a 20% discount last year. Did you, is it not a part of the deal this time? Is it not a part of the deal this time? What happened? What are you giving the client to, or the other party to? You are giving the other party an option to say yes or no. Yes or no?
Yeah.
You are
True.
giving an option
And
to the
that
other
too
party.
discount we are defining.
Yeah. No,
Hmm.
maybe, you know, now last year you got 20% discount. This year you want 25% discount, right? This year he has not given you any discount, saying that, okay, you are my regular customer. Since this was the first deal, you gave me, I gave you 20% discount. This year there is no discount. This happens, right? Happens or not? So you would tell them, okay, you gave me a 20% discount last year. Is it not a part of the deal this time? Now you are giving him a chance to say yes or no. Should you do that? No. Then how should you say this? I expect more than 20% discount this year. Are you giving him the option? No.
You.
No, not
Yeah,
really.
like you're giving him kind of like a choice, like a solution or a choice that either he has to take that offer or not take
Otherwise,
that
I'll go
offer.
to someone else.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, I'll go to someone else. Never leave the ball in the other party's court. That's a wrong approach. Right? So that is why it is important to focus on other parties' weaknesses instead of focusing on your strength. Your strength you already know.
One way of, so ma'am, one important way of negotiating is like we are trying to create an expectation so that it does not leave them a choice. Either it's give it or take it. Is it that kind of an approach?
No, you
Something
have
like
to
that?
give the alternatives as well, right? So I'll come to that. Let's be patient. So first is whenever you are, especially when you're writing, interpretation in writing, you know, most of the negotiations these days, they happen on the email. So especially when you're writing email, ensure that you're not leaving the ball in the other party's court. No. Be clear, you know, what you expect. Be clear of your expectations. You know, talk about choices. Now, this would involve your choices and their alternatives. What are your choices? What do you choose? Right? Okay, either you give me 20% discount or you give me, you know, 5 more products or whatever, you know, the 5 more this. Right? So give them the choices. But you have to negotiate that their alternatives, what are their alternatives? Okay, we cannot give you 20% discount, but we will give you 15% and we will give you additional service. Right? We will not be able to give you 20% discount, but we will give you additional service. So what are their alternatives and what are your choices? You know, do you want to have that service or do you not want to have that service? Right? What is the worth of that service? So you have to do the reverse calculation that is it coming to more than 20%? Right? So if it is not coming to, don't accept it. So there is something called negotiation is, you know, never give without taking something. It's always give and take. Don't give away everything without getting something. You know, you have to, don't say that, okay, I will give you 20% discount. Why will I? No. Right? Okay, fine. You are asking more than 20% discount. No, I will not give it to you. I can give you only 20%. Okay, I can give you 15% or maybe I can give you 20%, but you will have to, you know, write 5 reviews for on my website. Okay, on that condition, I can give you 20% discount. Or you have to recommend me to 5 people. You have to help me grow my business. Or, you know, I will give you 20% discount. Okay, fine, I can't give you 20% discount, but every purchase or every client who is coming from you, you get additional 2% discount. So you are, you know, giving something and you're taking something. So never give without taking something. If you're giving without taking something, no. right? So that's not a great idea. Now there is something called apply BATNA. Anybody who understands BATNA? What is BATNA? Apply BATNA. Best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Right? You have already reached a negotiation. What is the best alternative that you can choose to make it better? Right? So, and then there is something called MESO. MESO's theory says the multiple equivalent offers simultaneously. Multiple equivalent offers simultaneously. So these are the two things that you have to choose from. So whenever you are negotiating with a client, you can give them multiple offers which are equivalent in nature. Supposedly, when you are negotiating for salaries, you can say that, okay, if you do not want to give me a higher salary, okay, you maybe, you know, like I'll give you an example, like you are working with an organization for 10 years, you move on, you have an offer letter with a 30% raise. The companies say, you know, 30% raise. This is either you give me 30% raise, now the multiple offers will be like, or you give me 20% raise plus a retention bonus, which will be equal to 30%. Here, the employer will have a benefit that they don't have to give you the retention bonus now, they can give you at the end of the year, right? And then either you give me 25% plus, or maybe say, you know, 15% plus increased incentive. So what are these? You are giving multiple equivalent offers simultaneously to the increased incentives. You are giving multiple equivalent offers simultaneously to the other party. So when you have these options available, when the other party has the options, equivalent options available, they have the choices, right? And they can choose the best, which suits them, right? So obviously now, if you do not have these equivalent offers to offer, the person or the other party will never be able to understand that what exactly you want. So there will only be one choice to say yes or yes and no. So when you are giving them the other choices, there are other options open, right? With one option, there can only be a choice to say yes or no. There are no other choices with that. Clear? Clear with this? Yeah? Any questions?
Yes. No.
Yeah.
Any questions, anyone? Okay.
No.
No. All right. So now when you come to the communication, there are two-way you understand what communication in negotiation skills. So when it comes to the communication, there are two communications or two aspects of communications that are required in negotiation skills is requisites and outcomes, which have to be communicated clearly to both the parties. If you do not know the requisites, you will not be able to offer a solution. If you know the requisites and you are able to offer a solution, and if the outcome is not as expected by the other party, the negotiation doesn't happen. The deal will be closed there itself. Then what happens? Nothing. So the communication should, as a party to negotiation, you should always have your requisites, your outcomes clearly communicated to both the parties. If you do not know the requisite or the outcomes clearly, you will never be able to negotiate. So you should know that what are the outcomes required by an employer or maybe a company who is negotiating with you, right? Clear? Any questions here? So get them in writing. It is always better when when you start to work or deal with someone, it is better to get them in writing. You should get the requisites in writing and you should get the outcomes in writing, analyze. And if you do not understand anything, do not hesitate to ask any questions. Okay, the internet bandwidth is low. I'm switching off a video for some time. So if you do not, communicate well in terms of requisites and outcomes, you will never be able to negotiate or reach a point. There, if the outcome is not as per the requirement of the other party, the negotiation closes there. It will not work anywhere. Clear? These are the two aspects to negotiation when it comes to, sorry, 2 aspects to communication when it comes to negotiations. Clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. So coming on
Yes.
to
Clear.
now coming on to the claims in negotiation. Be honest. Always be honest. Anything that you are not able to deliver, say no to it. Right? If you are, if you're making a claim that, okay, in 3 days, I will give you a 500 word content as a freelancer, not a great idea. You will never be able to do it. Be honest. If you have never written, even if the business doesn't come to you, it will save your goodwill. Right? So if you have, if a content comes, like for me, I'm a content writer, and if there is a content which comes to me saying that, okay, you want to write in the sports niche, right? You have to write in the sports niche. I say no to it. Why? Because I know I cannot. I mean, I can definitely write, but I don't want to write it. Right? That is not something that I enjoy doing. I will not be able to do justice to it. So I will not write it. I will say no to it. So be honest with your profession. It is more about, being honest with your profession and not being honest to your employer or the employee. So it is what matters to you more is how you don't have to justify your skills to the other party. You have to justify your skills or justify justify yourself to yourself first. That will you be able to do it? Will you be able to deliver it? If you are not able to do it or deliver it, say no to it. Be honest as much as you can. Try to be honest. Do not give any fake claims. If you give any fake claims, you will not be able to negotiate, or even if you acquire the client, you will not be able to retain it for a long time. Okay, so the claims have to be legitimate. Okay, coming on to the next is level of commitment. What is your level of commitment? What level of commitment is at what level, until what level you can go, and how much you can deliver, right? So if what is at stake for each party, I mean, what you can do away with and what you cannot do away with, what is at stake? Is it your reputation? Now somebody is asking you to write okay, now let me just tell you that there was one employer who said that, okay, I have to, I worked as a consultant, right? I will not take the name of the employer, but I worked as a consultant there, and they said that, okay, we do not want to give PF to all our employees. So can you create a data which doesn't allow, which passes through the PF audit? So what is at stake? I'm as a consultant, my reputation. And what is at stake for them? Money. So what you should choose ideally in such a situation? Should you choose the reputation? So they said that, okay, this is what we can do, you create a data that can be passed through the audit, and we give you some extra money instead of paying penalty to the PF office. Should you do that? Tell me.
No.
Never.
No.
The stakes are high. My reputation is on stake, right? So I worked as an administrative officer, and there was a vendor who worked for Diwali gifting, and he said that was an order of somewhere around 2 crore rupees, and he said that, can you tell me that what is the quote, the other quote of the the other vendors, and I will give you a I will give you a cash back if you get mine approved. What is at stake now? Company's money, because his articles were expensive, right? His gifting was expensive. So should I put at stake the company's money? What is at stake? The company's money, my loyalty. If I get caught, then my career is on stake. Should you take that risk? No. So you have to analyze the stakes while negotiating, right? So if you are negotiating with an employer, maybe you are joining within the industry you are joining, and the employer says that, okay, we will give you 30% raise. You have to get the client list from the previous company. Will you do that? Never do that, because is your loyalty, right? What is at stake is your loyalty. They may ask you to leave after 3 months because you have done this to your previous employer, and they feel that this can be done to us as well, right? So they will fire you after 3 months. So never do that. So when it comes to negotiation, be honest and check your stakes. If you're not able to check your stakes and what is in negotiation, what are the stakes that are important for both the parties, do not negotiate on that. Okay, never negotiate on that. Justify your position. You don't just walk into negotiation for being able to. Now here come the justification. Once your claim in negotiation is honest and your level of commitment is decided, and you know your the stakes, what are your stakes in the negotiation, right? Then only you talk about justify your position. Now to justify your position, this comes in the end. To justify your position, you have to ensure that while what are your strengths fitting into the other parties. You don't have to talk about all your strengths. Parties' requisites, or what you call weaknesses. So you don't have to talk about all the strengths here. You have to talk about the requisites or the strengths which are fitting into the other party's requisite or weakness. You have to talk about that only. Like if the weakness is for blue car, we are the only dealer who have this midnight blue, then they don't talk about the other features. Talk about talk about the other features, but less emphasize that we are the only dealer, or this is the only car in midnight blue color. This color is not available anywhere. So you have to justify your strength which is fitting into the other party's weakness. Okay, so don't justify all your strengths. No. So somebody said that you have to justify your strength at 100% value. No, you should use or justify your strength at the value which is the weaker value of the other party. Clear? Yes?
Yes, yes.
So this is how you justify your position. Put yourself yourself into their shoes and understand that, okay, what are their requisites and what is that you can deliver to them. All right. Remove the emotion. If you negotiate with emotions, no, not a great idea. Never. Remove the emotions from there. Business and personal. Even if you are dealing it with your brother, real brother, no, emotions are to be kept aside. Keep your personal and professional life completely different. Even if you are working with your real brother or any of the relatives or negotiating, money is not something that has to do with person. It has to do with business. Money has nothing to do with person. It has to do with business. So you have to ensure that you negotiate even with your relatives or friends without any emotions. Do not keep your emotions aside, right? So remove the emotions in negotiation and know when to stop. You should know when to stop. Why? If you feel that the negotiation is not leading you towards a conversion, stop. Right? If the person is only asking for offers and options and not really reverting on or responding with his requisites, stop. It's not going to work out. Okay, so you should know when to stop. Clear? Right? Anybody has any questions? I'll be glad to answer any questions because I'll wrap up in like next 2-3 minutes.
Just the last point, I wanted to know that when to stop. It was not clear.
So if you feel that, okay, so when I ask you for an offer, right?
Okay.
And I say that, okay, I have received your offer, or and then I say that, can you give me another offer with other options as well? Right? And I have not responded. So then you ask me that, okay, was it the previous one fine? What was wrong with the previous one? I said, no, it was fine, but I need another option. So I ask you another option, right? And then you give me another option, and then you come back to me saying that, okay, which one is fitting into your requirement? But I have not come back to you with a clear requisite. Stop.
Okay.
Right? If the other party is not communicating their requisite or outcome they expect, stop. Right? It will not work. Okay, stop there and then. So you should know where to stop. Right? So that is something that you should always keep in mind, that if you try to, negotiate too much, then the other party will feel, oh, there is some more scope of, you have to stop somewhere. Like when you feel that, okay, this is I've reached the neck, I've reached a point of no return. Now I will not negotiate anywhere. So if your business, or if you're not getting any monetary benefit, if your benefit is compromised, if your work is compromised, if your reputation, any of your stakes are compromised, stop. Do not negotiate. Okay, right? So that's something, yeah. So you have to ensure. Now coming on to a few things where negotiation don't work. Barter. Negotiation don't work there. So on barters, you have to accept what the other person is doing, and you have to give what the other person, what you have to give, like, which is a barter system is that if most of the influencers on Instagram, they work on barter system. They get the product for free and they write the review. Now the product they cannot say that the product was of not good quality because they've got it for the free, right? And the product, that is why I don't believe in influencer marketing. They have got the product for free, so they cannot say that the product was bad because they've got it for free. They are supposed to say good about it. And then comes the client who has sent the product. He cannot say that the review was grammatically incorrect because they have not paid for it, right? In the barter system, negotiation doesn't work. Okay, so that's one thing that negotiation never works on. Clear? Then there is something called a letter of intent where negotiations don't work. There is an agreement to agree. There is an agreement where, it is clearly written that what the two parties have to deliver, right? Here, the negotiation do not work. You cannot negotiate if you have already reached or signed an agreement with the other party. Then the scope of negotiation is closed. Okay, clear?
Just one point. In LOI, at times companies do not, I would say, fulfill the requirement. So LOI is just an intention of purchase, but it may have happened that PO is not released, and the order is not, I would say, fulfilled or guaranteed.
That's fine, but letter of intent will have all the aspects starting from commercials to delivery, right? So there you cannot negotiate, na? The delivery time, the commercials, everything will have the letter of intent. If these clauses are not there in the letter of intent, the
True.
Yeah, the letter of intent has no purpose, right? These clauses are to be there in letter of intent. So once you have reached the letter of intent or LOI or agreement to agree, then you don't negotiate. Then you work around the terms of the agreement, but you don't negotiate on that. Okay, so LOI is reached when your negotiations are complete. Okay, when you have negotiated and reached an agreement. Now, always in negotiation skill, you should reach the win-win situations. There should be some benefit for you and there should be some benefit for the other party. So if you are giving only the benefit and not taking the benefit, no, negotiation has not worked for you. If you have given, if you have only derived the benefit and the other party feels like that I have not, if you feel that I have fooled the other person, right, the business will not be prolonged. They will realize. So don't ever think that, okay, I can fool the other person. No, it doesn't work this way. Everybody is smart these days and the market is tough. Every business, every industry has a lot of other competitors as well. So if not today, tomorrow, maybe they will get to realize that you tried to leverage their trust and did not give them the right price, and your reputation will be at stake. They will never recommend you to anyone, and it really matters a lot. Okay, so this is something that you have to do with negotiation. Any more questions? Next 5 minutes I will only be answering questions.
What is meant by stakes?
Sorry,
Stakes. What is meant by stakes?
what does mean
Stakes.
stakes?
Yeah.
Stakes is like okay, so stake would be a term where your responsibilities or your position or your values are high, where stakes would be like दांव पर, जिसको आप हिंदी, if you understand Hindi, right? What is on stake is now per. So if I am accepting the vendors cashback, my reputation and my loyalty is, or the organization's money is on stake, right? So that is called stake. Yes.
Okay,
What
thank
else?
you.
Yeah, what else? Anybody else? Any questions? Okay, do you want to discuss any case studies with me, or I will give you an assignment to do?
Assignment, please, madam.
Assignment? Okay. All right. So you want to do a assignment for the employer, or you want to do an assignment for the commercial reasons? Okay. So what? Get to the chat boxes. What 5 things will you ask the employer before getting to the negotiation table? Get to the chat boxes. What are the 5 things that you will ask the employer once you have cleared all the round of interviews before getting to the negotiation table? Get to the chat boxes, everyone.
Vandana, I would like to ask you one thing.
Yes.
Actually, I'm experiencing it now. Actually, I have a 2 years experience in working with Ernst & Young. Later on, due to some pregnancy issues, I have to take rest and I took a gap. Okay. So, it's been almost 5 to 6 years now. I'm not into the industry. So again, I have to get back. The thing is, whenever I get an interview, I'll talk to them and they'll be asking me about my personal things and about my first introduction. Then I'll be strong in my subject also. Everything goes. And even I negotiate to them that you can take me as a fresher and everything I do, but they don't come back to me. So I don't know how to approach them and where to negotiate in this part.
The consultants don't come back to you?
Yes, they're like
follow-ups and negotiations should not be done more than twice. You know, once or twice is fine. So you can call them and check with them that, okay, I mean, are we reaching anywhere? So if you're not reaching anywhere with them, just stop to follow up. You can look for something else which is better. So at times, you know, yes, I understand. I think in India, this is a problem that if you want to relaunch your career after the maternity break, it takes some time because the world is fast moving and people feel that if you have not worked for a few years, you have lost the touch, right? But which is not the case. But I also always recommend that during the maternity break, try to acquire some additional qualification, right? So that you do not go out of touch. I mean, if you are, you know, look for some certificate courses while on the pregnancy leave or the maternity leave, whatever you are, you know, even if you're on sabbatical, try to acquire some extra knowledge, reinvent yourself and understand about the industry that you have worked in, right? Preferably start from the same industry because you have the relevant industry experience. However, when it comes to follow-up, it should only be done twice and not more than that. So if it is not working out, then you should stop to follow up there as well, right? So yeah. Okay, what will be the roles and responsibilities? No, you should, this is a Pashwata, this is a part of your homework that you should do. What will be the roles and responsibilities? This is normally written in JD. Never ask this question. So whenever you know, you are reaching the negotiation after clearing all the rounds of interviews, what you should ask for negotiation, that what is your salary structure, right? So that you can calculate what is your salary structure, how much percentage is the basic, do you give the HRA, what are the tax structures, right? At times you will get a 30% raise, but most of your, if the basics are high, most of your salaries are cut into tax, right? So you have to ask for the salary breakup or the salary structure. What are the additional benefits that you should ask?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, do you have a Mediclaim policy for the company? What is the leave policy of the company? What is the leave encashment policy? All of this you should ask, right? And what are the perks? Will I be using my phone or will I be using the company's phone, right? So if I'm using my phone, if I do not want to change my number, will my phone bill be reimbursement, even if it is 200, 300 rupees? Why not? You know, be clear instead of, you know, not asking it in the beginning and then, you know, using your phone and paying 1,000 rupees per month. Why would you do that?
Right.
Yeah, so it's better to ask even the simplest question. Nobody says no to the answer. Even the simplest questions should be asked. The problem in our country is that we assume that the other person knows. That doesn't happen. Yeah, that doesn't happen. It doesn't work this way. Never ask about the JD description, need of skill sets. No. What is your future career path, salary, leave, increment, normal company? No. These are all the wrong questions, because all of this you should never talk about increment in the beginning, because you have yet not, you know, those while negotiations, when somebody talks about the performance appraisals, I never hire them. Most of the HRs never hire them. right? Because that gives the idea that you are highly highly aspirant and you will not stick to the company for a long time. You're only working for money. That gives an idea. So never do that. That's the wrong approach. So what 5 things you should ask while negotiating or when you reach the company, when you reach the negotiation table is what is the salary structure? And then make a calculation based backwards. What is now, a few people will give you gross, a few people will give you CTC. If they're giving you CTC, that would include the company's share towards the PF as well. Okay, so that is not your benefit. So if the current company's CTC gross says 30,000 and the new company's CTC says 32,000, no, wrong, you are on the same. Okay, so ask for the salary structure, the first thing. Ask for the leave encashment, ask for the other reimbursements, ask for the leave policy. What is the leave policy? All of that is important. Okay, increment, never ask, because it is never a good idea to ask for increment during the interview because you have yet not proved your credential to the company. Never ask for increment in the, prove your credential and then talk about increments. Okay, that's a wrong approach. All right, any more questions?
No.
No, ma'am.
I hope all of you enjoyed the session.
Yes, ma'am.
Definitely.
All right. So see you in any other session, maybe the soft skills sessions I keep taking. So you can connect with me if you want to. I mean, I'm here.
Madam, insightful and knowledgeable, in fact, useful also session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You can connect with me on LinkedIn and you can keep asking your questions through this is my profile on LinkedIn. All right. So you can keep asking questions through the messenger. And I also share a lot of writing tips and everything here. So, right, the demo sessions of Henry Harvin and everything is shared here. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. All right. So thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, ma'am. Bye-bye. Bye, ma'am.
Bye-bye.